Hey guys, welcome to today's reading lesson. Before we start reading The Dog in the Manger, I'm going to go over a few vocabulary words. So just listen up and I want you to repeat the words after me. So our first word is budge. So go ahead and say budge. Budge means to move. So their example sentence is, I pushed and pushed, but was not able to budge the refrigerator, which means they were not able to move the refrigerator because it was too heavy. So budge, to move something. So everyone say budge. Our next word is manger. So everyone say manger. This is an open box where hay is put for animals to eat. So everyone say manger. And their sentence for this is, the farmer put fresh hay in the manger for his horses to eat. That's what a manger is, a box where they put hay for animals to eat from. Our next word is oxen. So go ahead and say oxen. These are animals similar to bulls used for carrying or pulling things. So sometimes a lot of farmers use oxen. So our sentence is, two oxen pulled the farmer's cart across town. So those are a type of animal that are similar to bulls, if you've ever seen what a bull looks like, and they can carry some heavy things. So sometimes they pull carts around for farmers. So everyone say oxen. And now our last word is plow. So everyone say plow. This is a farm tool with one or more blades that turns the soil. That's a plow. And our sentence is, the farmer used the plow to prepare the soil for planting the corn seeds. So everyone say plow. All right, so we just learned budge, manger, oxen, and plow. Those are our new vocabulary words. So let's go ahead, and I guess if you want to take this time to go ahead and put the title up here, you do not need to go ahead and write this because we have to fill in our answers still. But go ahead and put the title if you want to. That whole part right there, go ahead and just put reading 42720, and then The Dog in the Manger is the name of our story. So feel free to go ahead and pause the video and put that title. But you will see that title again, so I'm going to go ahead and begin our story. All right, so again, the name of the story is The Dog in the Manger. And there's a picture of the dog in the manger. He doesn't look very happy, does he? So this illustration is kind of telling us what the story is going to be about. And look at that, that's an oxen. All right, here we go. There was once a dog who liked to nap on hot days in the cool barn. He liked to sleep in the manger, the long wooden box where hay was put for the farm animals to eat. One hot day, after a long afternoon pulling the plow, the oxen returned to the barn, hungry for their dinner. But they couldn't get to their food because the dog was lying in the manger, taking a nap on the hay. "Excuse me," said one of the tired oxen. "Would you please move so that I can eat my hay?" The dog, angry at being awakened from his nap, growled and barked at the ox. "Please," said the tired, hungry ox. "I've had a hard day and I'm very hungry." But the dog, who did not even eat hay, but only enjoyed it for his comfort, barked and snapped in response and refused to budge or move. At last, the poor oxen had to give up and went away tired and hungry. That's very sad. So, if y'all remember, the moral of the story is what lesson we learned from a fable. So, what lesson did we learn? We learned that you should be nice and share, especially when someone else needs something more than you do. So yeah, I definitely think the dog up here should have been a lot nicer to the oxen. because the oxen was pretty tired and hungry, right? And it wasn't really fair that the dog was sitting on all the hay that the oxen needed to eat. So a couple of questions that we can go ahead and think about, and we'll go over this at our 2 o'clock meeting, and we'll discuss some more questions. But one thing is, where does the dog like to take naps? Do y'all remember what that's called? Where does the dog like to take naps? Try to say it out loud. The manger, right? The manger that is full of hay. That's where the dog likes to take naps. Another question we can answer is, how do the oxen feel when they enter the barn? So do y'all remember when the oxen first entered the barn, how did they feel? Kind of happened at the beginning of the story. So they felt tired and hungry, right? Because it said one hot day after a long afternoon, the oxen returned and they were hungry for dinner. So you knew that they were just wanting some food at that point. So they felt hungry. And they were hungry and tired. Why? What was it called that they were doing? They were plowing the fields, right? They were pulling the plow. They were pulling the plow for the farmer. So that's what they were doing all day. And just like when we go to school all day or have a long day, maybe playing outside, we get tired and hungry and then we're ready to eat. So, yeah. And then the last question is, which animal in this fable acts like a person? How does the animal act like a person? Which of these animals kind of acted like a person? Was it the oxen or was it the dog? Do y'all remember which one was actually able to talk? The dog really only barked and got angry, right? I believe the oxen was actually talking to the dog, so he was kind of acting like a person. This oxen had a lot of feelings and said things like, "Excuse me," and "Would you please move?" So I think the oxen was acting more like a person. So on our paper, let's answer a couple questions. First question was, who was our characters? Let's go ahead and figure out who our characters were. And we'll just type them right here next to the word characters. So anytime you need to pause the video to write things down, you can. But the first thing we're going to work on is characters. So who were our characters? If you already know, you can start writing it. But I believe there were only 2 characters, at least 2 main characters, right? There may have been a few oxen in there. So we'll go ahead and say the oxen and the dog. Those were our characters. The oxen and the dog were our characters. So we just answered who our characters were. And the characters are the animals or the people that are in the story. So the oxen and the dog. And go ahead and pause the video if you need more time to write that. Now let's talk about our setting for the story. If you remember what a setting is, go ahead and say it out loud. Yep, a setting is where our story takes place. So where everything happened. So in the story or the fable, the dog in the manger, where did everything take place? So we know the oxen was working outside, but the story didn't take place outside, did it? It was inside of a what? Were they inside of a house, inside of a barn, inside of maybe a store? Where do you think they were? They were inside of a barn, right? So we'll put a barn. So our setting is a barn. So go ahead and write the words a barn. And that was our setting. So far we have our characters, the oxen and the dog, and we have our setting, where everything happened, a barn. Let's go ahead and talk about the plot of the story. Remember, the plot is the events that happen in the story. and usually the order that they happen in. So we'll do beginning, middle, and end. So of course we should start with beginning, right? So let's think about what happened at the very, very beginning of our story. So we know the dog was taking a nap, and we know that the oxen was just finishing up his work for the day, right? So we can say something like the dog was sleeping, and then the oxen was like ready for dinner, right? Because that's how he was feeling. He was feeling hungry and ready for dinner. So let's put, for the beginning of our story, the dog was sleeping and the oxen were ready for dinner. Because I believe there are more than one oxen in there. The oxen were ready for dinner. They were hungry. And yeah, so beginning of the story, the dog was sleeping and the oxen were ready for dinner. So you can go ahead and type that out or write that out. So that's what happened at the very beginning. Now, what happened in the middle of our story? We're not quite to the very end yet, but what happened kind of after the beginning? What happened? What did maybe the oxen do or try to do? And how did the dog feel about it? What was going on? So try to say it out loud before we start writing it out. Think about it. What happened in the very middle of the story? So in the middle, we know that the oxen, it tried to wake up the dog and get the dog to move because the oxen was very hungry. But I don't think the dog was very happy about that, right? The dog was getting pretty angry and barking. So let's go ahead for the middle of our story, put dog got angry for being woken up because the dog was very, very angry with the oxen for being woken up. So I'll put dog got angry for being woken. And then we'll also put that he would not get up because that was kind of what the oxen was trying to get him to do. So dog got angry for being woken and would not get up. And let's actually just put the dog. So the dog got angry for being woken and would not get up for the oxen. You can always write down more details if you want. You can always say something like, the oxen woke up the dog and the dog was really angry and wouldn't get up. You can write all that if you want to. So that was what happened in the middle of the story. Now for the very end of our story. We have beginning, middle, and now we have the very, very end. What happened at the very, very end? We know that the dog wasn't going to get up, and the oxen was surely not going to get what he wanted, which was some hay. So what did the oxen end up doing? The oxen, did he keep trying or did he give up? The oxen gave up, right? They just gave up. They weren't going to try anymore, even though they were so hungry and tired, which was very mean for the dog to sleep on their food. So we have our characters, the oxen and the dog. We have our setting, where the story took place, being a barn. We have the beginning of our story, where the dog was sleeping and the oxen were coming in for some dinner. We have the middle, where the dog got angry for being woken up and wouldn't move. And at the very end, the oxen just had to give up. Yep, so we all feel pretty bad for the oxen. So go ahead and pause the video if you need a little bit more time. But you have one more activity that you're going to do all by yourself, okay? So at the very end, I want you to answer a question for me. I'll just go ahead and put this on our Word document here. You don't have to write this question out unless you want to, because you need to remember what the question is. You can always pause the video though and answer the question. But the question I want you to answer is, if you were the ox and the dog refused to get out of the manger, what would you do? So if you were the ox and the dog just would not get up from the manger, what would you do? So maybe what would you do differently? And then after you write your short sentence, you can draw a picture of what you would do. So answer the question and draw a picture. So if you were the ox and the dog refused to get up, what would you do? All right, so that is it for our lesson. Make sure you pause the video, take your time writing, make sure you have spaces between each of your words so I can read it easily. And we will discuss more of this story into some more detail at our 2 o'clock meeting. So that is all. So I'll talk to you guys later.